G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it. Welcome, everyone. Today I'm interviewing Shane Mahoney from Lugos Travel. He's based in Florida, about 30 minutes from Walt Disney World. My daughter will be happy to know, in the United States. Thanks for your time today, Shane.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Let's start with how we know each other. So Mitko from Pam Pum reached out and thought you'd be an excellent guest to have on the cast for us.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be able to share with your audience and hopefully be able to give up some of my tips and tricks. Hopefully save some people some money on traveling.
Yeah, great. Well, tell our audience a bit about your business, what it does and how it makes money.
Right. So right down to business. What do we do? Lugos Travel is the parent company and has 3 separate verticals. The first vertical is our main company, and we are a small private luxury tour operator. What does that mean? It means we send couples and families on private adventures in 66 tours in 18 countries. And we have everything soup to nuts in terms of what they need to have a luxurious and great time. That's the first and primary thing. Our second vertical we have under a different house called Travel to Give Back. And Troy, I wanted to be able to impart a social change. I wanted to be able to help people where they were. And so one of the things about what we normally do with luxury travel is that people do not call us for what I call everyday travel. Things like hotels, flights, and rental cars when a baby's being born or somebody's going on vacation, or, like the little stuff, right? Work trips. And so what we did is we started Travel to Give Back as a direct competitor to Expedia, Orbitz, Travelocity, Priceline, stuff like that. It allows people to book hotels, flights, and rental cars. We have the exact same price or better than you'll find everywhere else. That's not the reason you want to use us. The reason you want to use us is because anything that you do is going to generate a commitment. There's absolutely no cost to you, so it's the same price as you'll pay for a hotel anywhere else. But what we do is we split that commission with any charity that you choose. So anybody who's in America can choose any one of 1.3 million charities, and we donate at least 25% of the commissions earned to that charity at zero cost to our clients and zero cost to the charity. That's the second vertical.
Love it. Yeah.
Our third vertical we call Entrepreneurs Travel Club. And it is a member-based organization that puts entrepreneurs together on vacation in tax-deductible travel so that they can meet other entrepreneurs and speed their way to better and more business and business relationships within the mastermind communities that we work.
Great.
And that's the trip.
Fantastic. I love it. I love all those 3 verticals.
It's very different. And each one deals with very specific segments of the travel market. But I think that what we put together is a really strong 3-legged chair that allows for a lot of different challenges to be met with one company.
Yep. How did you start out?
So I started out in a little bit of frustration, to be honest. I was 34 years old. I'd spent 12 years in sales and finance jobs. I kind of got good at making money and got sick of it. I wasn't really leading the life that I wanted to lead. And so I kind of started from scratch and said, what do I want to do? And the answer to that question was a really terrible answer, to be perfectly honest. It led me to be a ski instructor in the French Alps. And so while I was planning on selling all my stuff and getting ready to do that plan, my mom clipped an article from France Magazine of a guy who had sold a 20-year real estate agency in Colorado and sold everything, moved to France and started a ski school. And I thought, wow, this is Providence. I just need to contact him and tell him I'm in the exact same spot in my life that he was. So I did that. And he was gracious enough to email me back. And we spoke for about 4 hours the very next day. And it was a life-changing conversation. He suggested that I do not become a ski instructor in the French Alps, which I am very glad I did not do. But he suggested that the possibility that I would be a great tour operator. And to be honest, Troy, I had zero idea what a tour operator really was. So I spent my several weeks basically putting together a plan and started my company from scratch 11 years ago.
Great. How old were you then?
I was 34.
Yep. Great.
Yeah.
And do you have
Yeah,
some
it turns out that being a ski instructor is a 5-year commitment just to go to school for it in France. So I was not enthused about starting my career at 40.
Well, that's an amazing change in direction, isn't it? Thank Christ your mum cut out that article.
You know, I firmly believe that when you put out a good intention to follow a path, that there will definitely be signs of ways that you should chase or run away from that path. And I think it really takes a little bit of courage and a little bit of wisdom to be able to slow things down enough to understand that as much as somebody wants something, it doesn't mean that that's what they should do. And you should always look to test those theories out with yourself and see, is this really what I want to do? Do you have the full information? And if I would have leaped, I'm sure everything would have been fine in some particular way, but I'm really glad that I was able to slow it down long enough to listen to the world tell me what I should be doing.
Great.
Because I'll tell you this, as soon as I found out what a tour operator was, for me, it was plan A, B, and C. There was nothing to fall back on. I was dead set on making this thing happen.
Yeah, you just loved it. Got a real passion for it.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up moving around a lot. Like I shared with you earlier, I was I lived in Borneo for a year. I lived in Australia for 3 years. My mom's from Paris. I was an exchange student in high school in Barcelona. To say that I had the travel bug is like, not even, it's like,
it's in your DNA.
Yeah, it's just like I've always been that guy that can go somewhere new and within an hour I know that like that cool underground place to go that nobody talks about but everybody loves.
Yeah.
And I'm just that guy. So I didn't fight it. I just went with it, and it's been the greatest. Honestly, it is not at all easy to break into your new career. Try breaking into one that you have zero knowledge of. I mean, when I started my company, I had no knowledge whatsoever of what an acceptable profit margin was. How do we structure anything? Like, who do you work with? What associations do I need to be a part of versus which ones are available? Like, all of those things are things that we've, I believe, elegantly answered in the last 11 years to be able to make ultimately our goal happen, which is for people to have amazing, great vacations with zero stress planning them.
Yeah.
Period.
And out of interest, I assume you didn't start obviously with those 3 verticals, or even I'm guessing at the more premium end of the market. Or did you jump straight into that? Like, you were very clear in your vision?
Yeah, I jumped straight into that. So I was very lucky that a guy I went to high school with was celebrating his 10-year anniversary, and trusted me to put together, I believe it was about an $18,000 trip for him and his wife. And I mean, I have no shame in saying that I spent 100% of the profits on making sure his trip was just like the best ever. But he's been a client now several times over, and it's the proof's in the pudding. We take a very serious tack in making sure that we have good vacations. You know what it is, Troy? I think I saw a trend, and I don't know if this is an American trend or if this is maybe a worldwide trend. Maybe your listeners can let me know. But I see a trend in America where it's like the stress of planning a vacation can become so much. It can be, there's so much inertia that goes into that I think it becomes one of those things that we don't want to do. We don't want to tackle finding out which hotel and where to go and what to do and who to talk to and how to get there and all that stuff. It's a lot of work. And if you think about it, Troy, it's really all about like, what do people really want to take a vacation for to begin with? It's to get away from work, not to add another job and figuring out all the stuff that they want to do. So really, what we focus on is being able to be the expert so that you can stay the expert in your life, and we'll take care of the travel part, make sure that you have a good vacation, and really keep people from taking vacations they've taken before. Because I think ultimately that's what happens when the stress gets too much and the timetable is too short, is, we all hit the easy button and go somewhere we've already been before because we already know how to plan that.
Yeah.
And I wanted people to realize that, like, if you're in your 30s or 40s, you only have 30 or 40 summers left. So, do you want to spend them doing the same thing over and over and over again? Or do you want to do something interesting and different? And if you do want to do that, what is the easiest process that we can do to make that happen?
Yep.
That's what I prided myself on.
Do you have some key numbers you can share to illustrate the growth of the business over the 11 years?
Sure. So our best year was actually 2019. And I was primed and I had been working for about 5 to 6 months with a marketing agency to be able to begin a marketing process to be able to scale up in a big way, starting in, are you ready for this? April 2020.
1 month after COVID.
Yes, I had started making payments with the marketing company in February. We were putting out lots of different information, basically ready to prime the pump. COVID said, hey, that's not going to happen. So we actually went 15 months dead, no business, zero sales. And then in 2021, in the last half, we did 92% of our best year. And we are now tracking to do much, much more than that this year. And I have resumed the marketing efforts, and we are now in the process of taking advantage of something that honestly I've been working on for the last 11 months. And do you mind if I share with you and your audience?
Yeah, sure.
So one of the things that I saw was a real issue, and you're going to see a trend here because, like I said, I want people to take a vacation from planning a vacation, not just take a vacation. We saw a process that was happening in the luxury market where if you wanted to go on a tour, you being any customer, and you went to any company in the world right now, basically for you to get a proposal from any company in the world takes 3 to 5 business days. That's first proposal. And then assuming that you're like everybody else, you want any changes at all, there's going to be another 3 to 5 business days before we get you those changes. And so what I was thinking about for the longest time is like, what about all that stress that happened before you made that first call, right? So now the stress is already like up to your eyeballs, and then you make a call, and then you find out it's another 2, maybe 3-week process by the back and forth. So I wanted to get rid of that. And so for the last 11 months, we've actually been working to be able to provide a custom private luxury proposal, good for any day of the year, on any of our 66 tours in 18 countries in less than 5 minutes.
Wow.
So we are the only company in the world that can basically provide our clients with the information that they need to make the decision that they want to make in one afternoon.
Yep.
So you can completely pull the proposal. You can by yourself or with your loved ones completely customize it exactly the way that you want it to. You can pay the deposit and then you tell us when you want to go. It's the easiest process I can possibly think of.
We'll link through to that in the show notes. What's the best web address for that?
So that's on Lugos Travel. So anybody can go to any of the destinations, pick any of the tours, and then literally hit request a free proposal in under 5 minutes. It's the easiest process ever.
Yeah, great. And what about number of team members when you started out? Was it just yourself full time, and then where
Definitely
you at now?
just myself. Yeah, I mean, the honest truth is, I'll share something with you and your listeners that I really don't share a lot. Is when I started my company, I was I was once divorced. I had been struggling to figure out what I wanted to do, which basically meant that I wasn't really good at anything that I was doing for a little bit. And so I started Lugos Travel while I was on unemployment and just piecing together, dollar after dollar. And it took a little while, but after about 2 years, I made my first hire, and she was fantastic. Had been with me for about 5 or 6 years before she moved on. And now we have a team of 7. We're running 2 graphics artists. We're basically in the process of adding multiple new countries at the same time, multiple new tours. And our systems are completely different than what really, what faces the client is different, but what faces our partners also is vastly different too. So we do things very, very different, but in a way that's very, very efficient. And that goes into something else that I kind of saw. Because I didn't have any prior experience in this industry, what I was looking for was not how has other people in this industry solved the problem, but what is the best solution. And I saw a lot of inefficiencies throughout the process. Honestly, when all of these other companies get you a proposal in 3 to 5 business days, it's because they're expending an enormous amount of resources and time, manpower, and money to be able to get you that proposal, and with zero guarantee that you're going to go. And so in a lot of ways, we in this industry front a lot of the money up front for, our services, because if you go, then we've already done all the hard work. But if you don't go, then we've just wasted, weeks. So on the back end, we've changed that equation, because now that we can get you a proposal in under 5 minutes, we're not invested in getting you information. We've already gotten you the information. Now it's just a question of whether you're going to go or you're not going to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
When was the moment you felt like you had succeeded?
I don't know that I'll ever feel like that. I'd have to say I'm enough of an entrepreneur to know that there's always something else you can do. In my early days, I innovated a lot within the confines of what our tours deliver for our clients. And then when I had reached a saturation point in terms of what people would want and what people would find valuable, then I started innovating on other things, which, is where you get into travel to give back. It's my firm belief that with travel to give back, we can donate $1 billion to charities by the 2035.
Yep.
I believe that's mathematically possible with 1.2, 1.3% of the US population using the system sometimes, not even all the time.
Yep.
Being able to bring interesting solutions is something that I'm really keen on.
What does success look like to you?
It's a silly way to define it, but I guess success is being able to walk into a Porsche dealership and pay cash. Not necessarily that you would,
Yeah.
but that you could.
Yeah.
I think that's just probably the easiest way I would have of defining how, like, it's just things are good.
Hmm.
No, I mean, honestly, I'm going to refine that and say, I really appreciate how my team works well together. I like how they solve problems and work together to be able to get things done. So in some ways, I'm seeing a lot of success right now with just my team and what they're able to do. The more that happens, I'll feel even better about my success. But it's not a number. It's not a like once I make this, like, I'm good.
Yep.
Yeah, if I have a good culture, if I have people that love working there, if I have clients who enjoy the process and are having great trips and sealing great memories with their families and loved ones, I'll start down the success thinking.
Number one thing you'd recommend to marketing a fast-growing business?
Yeah, I've learned a lot about that in the last few years. I don't know how helpful this is to people listening, but I recommend joining a mastermind, especially a good one. And you don't know a good one until you've been a member of a bad one.
Yeah.
So there's that. Being able to share ideas with other peers that are most likely outside of your actual business sphere is pivotal to be able to understand marketing tactics, what to use, when to use them. There's so many different programs and specialists and helpers and companies that have some trick or whatever. That has probably been the toughest nut to crack because one of my friends actually said it best. They said, now that I understand your business, it seems like you did everything backwards. Most companies market a product, and then when they sell it, then they figure out how to make it good. They're like, you made your product excellent and then are finding out how to sell it. And I'm not mad about that process because I think going into it without the experience, I wanted to make sure that we were attacking problems in a way that made sense for our clients. I'll give you some examples because otherwise it's very ethereal. One of the problems I've always had is vacation photography. I think it sucks. I think it's just terrible. It's like invariably like some person arm over arm, with like something in the background and two cheesy smiles, right? It's never ever good enough that you are going to spend $300 to blow it up on canvas, frame it, and put it in your living room. It's not that kind of photography. And the truth is that vacation photography, I feel, is probably some of the best moments that you should capture in your life because, they represent the culmination of a lot of success in your life to be able to earn the right to leave and do something interesting with your hard-earned money. And so I wanted to change that entire process. And what we do is we offer it as an option. It's not something that you have to have, but we'll pair you up in 2-hour increments, 1, 2, or 3 different days with a professional photographer. And what we did is we went one step further. Rather than just saying, hey, photographer, follow our clients around, we wanted to contractually define exactly what we wanted them to do and what it was going to look like. So our photographers are defined to spend 90% of the total allotted time in paparazzi style, medium to long range lenses across the street, getting you with your genuine smiles, doing what you're doing, what you came there to do, so to speak. with the thing behind you without you being an opposing situation.
That's great. Love it. Yeah.
And what I've seen on that program alone is just some of the most phenomenal vacation photography that that our clients actually do spend the extra money to memorialize and enjoy, because you earned it, right? So that's like one thing. And the other thing would be our custom daily amenities package. And so you ever gotten a bottle of champagne in your room?
Yep.
Were you in France when it happened?
One time, yes.
One time.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's on brand in France, because you paid for a French vacation and you got a French experience, right? That matches. But if you pay me for an Icelandic, Belgian, or Italian vacation and I put a bottle of champagne in your room, ultimately you may like the champagne and that may be a win, but it's incongruous to what you paid me for.
Yeah.
And so what I realized was that a lot of companies, when they do amenities kits, that's like champagne or chocolate covered strawberries, it's a nice gesture that completely misses the mark. And it misses the mark in a very significant way, because our clients are depending on us to be the experts in any given area that we do business in. And so, for example, have you ever been to Belgium?
No, not yet.
Okay. I love it. It's probably one of my favorites. But if you ever go there, you'll see little carts on the street, and they have a little conical gummy called a Kuberdon. Now, if you don't know what it is, even if you're looking at it, chances are good you're not going to stop and ask a gentleman to put 5 or 10 of them into a paper bag and give you one. But it's a distinctly Belgian experience that I don't think anybody should miss out on. And so our custom daily amenities kit has found locally sourced, locally produced specialties in all kinds of areas for every place that we do business. And we have one of those items delivered to you each day. And those have been candles, clothes, candies, colognes, perfumes, knives, wooden bowls, jewelry. It's been food, non-food, alcohol, you name it. We don't care what it is, but it's a local specialty from that area that you're not going to miss out on because you didn't go down the right street, or you didn't know to stop in the right store, or you didn't know what to ask for. Yeah. And so we ground our clients in the experience that they paid us for, so that they can have, a meaningful experience. That's basically it.
Yep. How did you fund your business? Sounds like you bootstrapped it. Have you taken on investors or bank finance along the way?
I have. I bootstrapped it for the first, 9-ish, 10-ish years. 2020, was really, really tough. I was able to get a few loans and grants during the process, but it wasn't enough. And so to be able to incubate the idea and get it all over the edge with the instantaneous quoting process, proposal process, we did take on investors and sold 45% of the company.
Yep. Yeah, great. And sorry, did you say before in 2021, you did 92% of your 2019 revenue in 6 months?
That's right.
Wow, that's phenomenal. I mean, it's come back with a vengeance. Obviously, people's travel. I've been doing a fair bit of travel lately, and all the planes are packed, the airports, which is great to see people getting out.
Well, it's a lot of pent up demand. I'm a bit of a student of history, and so I was anticipating this, because if you look at the 1920s, they called it the Roaring '20s, not because of any monetary policies that were happening at the time, but because the world was coming off the end of Spanish flu, where 2 years of death and destruction, tends to have a very jubilant atmosphere for people afterwards.
Yeah.
So I really believe that right now there's going to be a bit of a renaissance in taking big trips. And the other thing is you weren't able to, grandma and grandpa were not able to see their grandkids, and so, what are they thinking about right now is, how much time do I have left and what's going to happen now? And so what we're seeing a lot of is grandparents taking out the kids and the grandkids on a vacation because, ultimately I've never seen a U-Haul behind a hearse. So, uh, you know,
Yeah.
at some point you realize that like all that work you did saving and putting those shekels away, what are you going to do with them? You got your memories at the end of the day, and that's about it. And so I really encourage, one of the things that we've done from the beginning, we never change from this, is we only do private tours. So, I think it's post-COVID is probably one of the smartest ways to move around the world, because then you encounter so many less people. You're not stuck with somebody that you've never met before on a crew, on a trip to a museum where somebody else is telling you it's time to go, or any of that stuff. So we're able to create an atmosphere where only the people you go on vacation with, your family, your friends, whoever you came there with, is who you're with. And so now what we can do is we can create an experience that revolves around what you like. If you like what you're seeing, by all means, stay longer. That's what you came there for.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you do not like what you were doing, by all means, leave. Like, your guide is not there to keep you prisoner. They're there to make sure you have a great time. And so we encourage all of our clients to just be honest with their guides and use their time very wisely.
If you were to start up today with plenty of funding, would you go into your industry?
100%. 100%. Yeah, I mean, everybody in my family and around me said I was crazy for going into travel in the 2011. The business is over, the internet has took over, yada yada yada. At the end of the day, I saw an opportunity. I saw an opportunity because, yes, the internet exists and people can actually plan their own stuff very easily. But what I really believe is that people are not lacking from information. There's enough top 10 best, lists, or the 5 top this, or, whatever. There's enough information out there for days for everybody to plan their own stuff. Okay. But the reality is that we have lives, kids, jobs, commutes, and all kinds of other things that prevent us from accessing that information. And worse still is, even if we did dedicate the time that there's now too much information. So how do you distinguish between 2 4-star hotels that have 600 plus 4.5-star reviews that are generally located in the same place? Like, how do you decide between those two?
Yeah.
And what are your mitigating factors? And where are you going to get your guide, and how are you going to set it up? Like, it's not a lack of information that people have. It's a lack of time to be able to put it all together.
Yeah.
And so what I think that I solve is, the time and expertise component alone saves our clients on average $4,000 to $8,000. That's when we value our clients' time at $100 or $200 per hour.
Yeah.
So, when you really start to look at the value of what we can bring, it's excessive considering what you're getting.
Yeah.
And again, we've taken a process that, used to take 2 weeks, and we've now shut that down into less than an afternoon.
Can you outline the most stressful point in your small business growth journey so our audience can learn from it?
The most stressful point, aside from COVID, that definitely was.
Yeah, it's an outlier.
That was an outlier. Yeah.
Pretty fucked times, but yeah, it shouldn't happen again for another 100 years.
The thing is like, I kind of alluded to it earlier. It's being able to over innovate. It's having more ideas than you need to bring. I'll give you a concrete example of how that used to manifest. So what I did was basically what most companies in the world still do. So that 3 to 5 business day process is this, right? Client comes to a person like me and says, I want to do, I don't know, Greece, right? Great, no problem. Let's have a meeting so that I can have a discussion with you, Troy, about who you are, who your wife is, who your kids are, what do they like, what do you not like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, Troy, you don't know me at all, but now we're going to be investing about an hour of each other's time and getting to know each other, right? So that's step one. It's a lot of investment for somebody you don't know, and you don't even know if you're going to use them.
Yep.
Then I go to my people and we craft the plan. Then we send it to my graphics department, make it look really pretty, and send it to you. Boom, there's your 3 to 5 business days. And what happens is the very first proposal that I give you in this particular instance is now something that includes everything that you need, plus a lot of things that we feel you would want to have because we feel like we know you, right? And Troy, my experience was that everybody in the world, no matter how well I got to know them, no matter how well I knew them already, says, this is great. I love this. But you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to change this, this, and this, right? And to most people who buy something on Amazon and understand that they're going to get it in 2 days, it's very confusing to realize that that small change of information now precipitates me going on another 3 to 5 business day journey of pricing, putting it together, doing all these things, right? And so the problem is over innovation, right? I've packed so many things that I think are wonderful and that you would like to have. But the truth is that you realize that on the third day, when you're jet lagged, you're probably going to be a little tired and you rather just take it easy. These are like reasonable things, right? So really, what did I do that makes what we do possible? And what I did is I scaled things back from what is the most things we can pack into Troy's tour that he would love to what are the things that he would absolutely have to have no matter what, whether he's never been there or he's been there 5 times. And then offer options that you can add on if you want to, but you don't have to. Like the tour as is good enough, but how can we make it personalized and yours? We give you options. And so that's how we do things is we offer what we call the essential tour. That's what we can propose in under 5 minutes. And it's anything that you would need, like round trip private transportation with an English speaking driver starting from your home anytime you have your luggage or anytime it's more than 20 minutes from point to point. And we include standard gratuity. We include a 4-star and up hotel with a minimum 1 category room upgrade so that we can get you a superior or a deluxe room with a little bit more room and a better view. We include a welcome dinner on your first night. We include a farewell dinner on your last night, and we include breakfast every single day. And then lastly, the easiest thing, we include 1 privately guided tour, including skip the line access to whatever it is that you do on each city that you visit. That's the essential tour. And you can have that instantaneously. And that's a perfect tour for anybody and everybody. But we found that some people really kind of like different options. So like for me, I'm a gearhead. I love anything that has to do with cars or speed or anything else, adrenaline. So for me, we included 4 different packages. And those are, 1 is Savor. That's our foodie package. Anything that's wineries, breweries, tastings, Michelin star dining experiences, cooking classes, anything like that. Our second category we call Explore. It's anything cultural related, people, places, right? Our third category is Excite. It's anything that's adrenaline related, things like driving a Ferrari on or off the track, flying in a P-51 Mustang over World War I battlefields, whitewater rafting, zip lining, you name it. Depends on where you are, right? And then the last one, we found that a lot of people really already know that they want the best of everything. And so rather than bullshit around, we offer them a 1-click, 1 price option to upgrade every single one of their rooms to a junior suite or a suite, or go from a 4-star to a 5-star hotel.
Yep.
And there you go. So what we did is we flipped the script in front, instead of innovating from the point of like, how much stuff can we pack down Troy's trip, to, hey, like, this is what you need, and then everything else you pick.
Yep.
And so we did that, and it's been absolutely phenomenal. A lot of people really enjoy and love this, because now, you know, you're not getting harassed back and forth. You get to take a look at the information, and it's your call. You know, is this something you want to do or not?
What area in business do you feel you've had to work on the most to add the greatest value?
Getting that right.
Yep.
Getting that right. Because otherwise, you know, it's a lot of investment in time, effort, and energy, money, people, to be able to just get somebody something that looks halfway decent for what they want to do. So getting all of this right has been the most pivotal year that I've had, and being able to convince all of our partners across the board to be able to adopt an entirely new business model that's never existed before. And the reason that that's most important in terms of our clients is being able to flatten out the pricing issues, right? So one of the things that really pissed me off was how a lot of companies, I mean, I say a lot, but pretty much every single company does what we call from pricing. So, you know, you're like, oh, look at this vacation. This is from $2,000. Like, I love that price. I love that vacation. Let's do that. And the reality is, you know, that's some third weekend in February for a beach trip when
Yeah.
you know, under no circumstance would you, or in your right mind, do that. And so when you finally say what day you want to go, you know, spring break or summer, you know, all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, you know, that price is not right. We need to do, you know, it's $5,000. And you're like, whoa, what happened? Right. I really hated that process, because ultimately, you know, I thought that we could do better. And so we've been working with all of our suppliers downline to be able to provide pricing that's good for the entire year.
Yep.
So now it's not an impediment to say that you know exactly what day you're going to leave. Like you could in your mind want to leave on a Saturday, but in fact change your mind and leave on a Tuesday. We don't care. Like it's the same price, and we're going to guarantee that price whether you want to go in August of 2023 or November of 2022. If you buy it today, that is the price. That's what it is. It's done. Like we're finished. We're not going to ask you for more later and say, you know, the dollar and the euro changed, so by the way, you owe us more money.
Yep.
I think it's a better way to buy.
Yeah. What have you enjoyed the least about managing fast growth?
Well, probably the pressure on family life. My son is 7, and I feel like everything is going by so fast. Just being able to kind of, I think the honest truth is I'm very blessed to be able to work from home, to be able to see him a lot. I get to drop him off at school most days. But at the same time, I mean, these days I've been traveling a lot. I'm in 3 different masterminds. You know, I'm gone for when my wife works with me. So she's often gone with me. And so I think that's probably the toughest, is finding that balance of being able to watch your kids grow up.
Yeah.
That's a tough one, but at the same time, we're very blessed. We have both of our grandparents alive and close, and so it's been nice.
What do you love most about growing a small business?
The challenges, simple as that. You know, one of my favorite quotes is, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I haven't once complained about having to do the same thing over and over again. And that's something that I used to have to do quite a lot. You know, that in previous careers that I've had, I had a lot of same days.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have a lot of that anymore. That's probably the best part.
What has been the biggest mindset shift for you in your small business growth journey?
Being able to leverage other people, knowing how to hire and knowing how to create a good culture in my company.
Yep.
Those are, like, this is probably one of the smallest things, but I had a mentor back in the day, and he, every single day, he would thank me for my day. He would say, "Thanks for your day." And, I have never forgotten that. And I thank my employees for their day, because ultimately, it's more than a butt in a seat. It's somebody who I hope I can convince to care about my customers and my business as much as I care about it. And so being able to create that right culture has been an effort over the last couple of years. COVID was nice because it introduced me to a gentleman named Robbie Richmond, who used to be at Zappos and was teaching me a class on company culture, and I was able to also meet a couple of other people to back that information up. And I'll share with your audience probably the biggest mindset shift that I think made sense for what I'd learned was culture is about making the implicit explicit.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of us all agreeing to shared values that we're guessing what they are, it's saying exactly what those shared values are, enunciating them, and then sticking to them. So that's huge.
The number one habit you think a small business owner needs to develop and maintain?
Being a reader.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there's always something cool to watch on Netflix. And
yeah.
sometime you just got to realize that while that option exists, it's not necessarily the best one for you.
Yeah, totally agree.
Find it hard to define a clear strategy, then communicate it and execute it alongside the rest of your team? Or you currently don't work a simple quarterly strategic plan to boost your team's performance? Our Business Growth Formula online course is perfect for small business owners with 5 to 30 team members wanting to grow. We share the mindsets, habits and tools to be a legendary leader in your business. GrowSmallBusiness.com.
Can you talk to how you've added people to the team, some wins, mistakes, and advice for those listening?
Sure. Yeah, I think so. One of the things that's been a real big growth for me lately is using virtual assistants and being able to structure my day in such a way that we can kind of anticipate the problems ahead of time. So we currently employ several VAs from Venezuela,
Mm-hmm.
and being able to leverage people who have a cultural understanding of what's going on in the US. They've often been educated in the US, speak English very well, work on our time zone. Those are very, very big helps. And what's really cool is that they all speak Spanish, as do I. So one of the things that I think that we're going to be taking in the direction of the company is being able to translate 100% of our assets and into Spanish, and then going after a Latin market in the US. I think it's the Latin travel market for luxury service is severely underserved. And I aim to go after that market very vociferously.
Yep. And those VAs, are they included in the 7 team members you mentioned before?
They are.
Yeah, great. What are some things you recommend to building a sustainable and kick-ass culture to help with the growth?
Well, I want my employees to be able to work hard, but I want them to play hard too. I want them to understand that ultimately we are a vacation company, and if I work them to death, they're not going to be very good at their job.
No.
So, so I've been working to basically create life balance for them as well, and we're trying to restrict them, and so we don't have any employees that work over 40 hours a week, and we want them to take time and in a no pressure atmosphere that allows them to work when there's work and take time when they need it.
Yeah.
So that to me is pivotal because you know, there's so many times in my life that I used to be just upset that I was working. You know, I'll give you a great example. I used to be a finance manager for a car dealership, and they're sticklers for being there. Like, quite obviously, you know, it's a specialized position. There's not a lot of people who are capable of doing that. But my grandfather was not, on either side of my family, was not somebody I was ever close to. But my grandfather of my best friend, I was super close to. And when he died, I wanted to go to his funeral, and I remember not being allowed to do that. And
that's terrible.
It is terrible, but because it wasn't my family, you know, so to speak, right? But you know, family is more than just the people you share blood with. It's the people you care about. And so I never forgot that, and being able to have a culture where my employees will never have to miss that, I think is great. That's to me very important.
Tell our audience how you've handled balance.
Meditation.
How much professional development have you invested in yourself? Sounds like it's a shitload. Masterminds, a lot of reading.
Yeah, I'm a part of 3 different masterminds with an average price tag of 20 to 30K per. I do try to read. I try to read one, so to take the pressure off people who are listening, so it doesn't sound like I'm a machine, because I'm not. I read one fun book and one business book. Alternating.
Right.
So so you can always line up a good fun book for after you've read something that feeds your mind. So yeah, I mean, definitely development is super important, and I wouldn't be here without that component.
Yeah. Anything else on mentors or coaches?
Yeah, I've tried coaches specifically. I think that's a great idea. I haven't found one that I personally gel with yet, but I am looking. And as far as mentors, I've had some great ones. You know, in the car business, my first mentor, I love this story, so I'll share it with you because I think it's great. He was a recovering alcoholic drug addict who had never been arrested. He just hit a rock bottom in his life and wanted to turn things around. And his turnaround, I mean, when I first met him, was 13 years clean and sober. You know, he was on the board of the halfway house, helping convicts get out of prison and stay clean and do stuff. So he was very far in his path. And one of my favorite stories about him was that he said that a lot of AA meetings are very, very similar, right? It's a very same rock bottom story, followed by like, you know, and then I got myself clean, and then blah, 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 blah. He said the nice thing is, though, that every now and then there's like a really great speaker who will come and like have just a phenomenal new story. He was super excited about this lady coming into town and like giving her story. And so he shared with me that when this happened, because so many of these stories can be the same, that his mentor had told him, listen, when these people talk, you can always take something away from the story. Anyway, long story short, this lady was giving the same old speech, like same story of like the hard luck story, right? And so he pointed at his desk and he pointed at an ashtray and he says, "See that ashtray?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, my mentor said you should always take something away from a meeting. My amendment is sometimes you should realize it's just going to be an ashtray." And I was like, "You know what? That's good advice. That's good advice. You should always take something away from a meeting, but just sometimes it's going to be an ashtray. It's not going to be."
Do you have a board of directors or advisors?
I am a member of one mastermind called Board of Advisors,
Yep.
but they are not, in fact, a board of advisors. Between me and my two investors, yeah, that's kind of our de facto board of advisors. I am the chief, and all decisions stem from me, but I really value their opinion and being able to bounce things off. You know, there's so many good ideas, but great ideas are the ones that can stand scrutiny.
All right, Shane, we're on to our final 5 questions. What do you think is the hardest thing in growing a small business?
The hardest thing in growing a small business is that you will never move past what you're ready for. And the frustration that comes from not moving forward should bear itself out in you understanding that you need to level up.
Favorite business book which has helped you the most?
The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Hands down, best one if I had to pick one. But the other one was Principles by Ray Dalio.
Love that book.
That's a great one. That's a really good one.
Great book. What's the first one you've mentioned? What's that about?
It's called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Gay Hendricks is a I believe psychologist who worked with a lot of people. You know, one of the things that is really interesting about the book is he talks about your zone of excellence and your zone of genius.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people live in their zone of excellence. These are the things that you do very well that make you money, but you don't love them, right? And the zone of genius things are the things that you absolutely love, even if you didn't make money. And so one of the things that he prescribes is trying to live in your zone of genius as much as possible and to delegate your zone of excellence and your other zones, which are less good, to people who are experts in that, who's their zone of genius is that. And so I really, really like that because it's been really good to see how you can you have only so much time. So if you can free up some of it so that you can do the things that you're really, really good at while other people do the things they're really good at, then it allows you to really grow the most, personally, professionally, and otherwise.
Any great podcasts or online learning tools you use for your own professional development?
I listen to many podcasts, but which ones are the best? I like Tim Ferriss. I like Lewis Howes. I like, but I actually tend more towards podcasts that are more ethereal. So the All Out podcast with Chamath Palihapitiya is really good. I like Making Sense with Sam Harris, and probably my favorite podcast has nothing to do with business, but by God, I think everybody should be listening to this. Is Hardcore History by Dan Carlin.
Oh, I've heard they're amazing. Yeah.
Oh, it's the best thing ever. And like, forget about whether it'll help you with business. It will help you with life.
Wasn't there a friend was telling me about it? It's on the list. I've got a giant list of podcasts and books to get through. Something that was like one part of World War I or II, I think he did. And it was like a 9-hour little series on it. And my friend just was blown away with it.
So World War I, it's called The Path to Armageddon, I think, or yeah, it's a 6-part. I would say it's probably closer to 18 hours if I had to guess.
Yeah.
I've listened to it twice.
Yep. All right. I'm bumping that up my list.
superb. Like if you ever get a chance, listen to that one. And also listen to the one he did, another 6-parter on Genghis Khan and his family.
Awesome.
If you ever get and I mean, it's just mind blowing, like what those people were capable of at that time in history. Phenomenal.
Yeah. One tool you'd recommend to help grow a small business?
Anything that keeps you organized. I've been playing around with lots of them. Trello, Zoom, Calendly, being able to schedule your calendar, very good. Big shout out to my friend Ray Perez, who's my branding expert. He has a 360 site, which is what I will be talking about when you're like, hey, what do you want to talk about? Where will you find information? ShaneMahoney360.com. That's where you'll find it. So my friend Ray Perez puts that together. That's probably one of the greatest tools for a small business because it consolidates your podcasts, your social media, your websites, your contact information, everything in one place, and being able to create a good, smooth transition of information about who you are and what you do to a complete stranger in less than a few seconds. Absolutely pivotal. So definitely get your own 360 site. That is a huge one.
Right. Finally, my favorite question. What would you tell yourself on day one of starting out?
Increase your price.
Yeah. Well, I certainly made that mistake. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is like on day one, I wanted to be, I never wanted to have contracts and do the back and forth. I wanted to do business with a handshake. I wanted to look people in the eye and say, I'm going to do my best for you on this tour and you're going to have a great time. And you pay me a fair price. I was disabused of that mindset rather quickly when somebody, got everything that they paid for and then still wanted their money back.
Right.
That's a shame. But I still am not mad about the way that I intended to go through it. We all, it would have been nice to have made that happen and continue it. But at the same time, I realized that really had to come up with the formalized systems to be able to make something real and lasting. And so I would, if I was going to tell myself on day one, anything, I would say, invest in yourself, invest in your knowledge, and don't worry about the money, worry about the job.
Yep. Great. Thanks very much for your time today, Shane. I think the audience get a lot of value out of what you've shared with us. Congratulations to you and your wife and the team, growing from 1 full-time equivalents to 7 over 11 years and bringing a lot of joy and memorable experiences to a lot of people around the world.
Thank you, Troy. Yeah, I'm really happy about it. Thank you.
Yeah, and I love the travel to give back idea too. That's genius.
Yeah, I hope that anybody who's listening can try that, because not only will you pay the same price, but in a lot of ways for hotels, it's difficult for me to explain this, but you can actually save up to 60% with prices you can't get even if you go to that hotel's direct website.
Yeah.
So we have the ability to save you money, but what I really want people to take away is that at no point, for no reason ever, will they spend 1 cent more than they would find anywhere else price-wise. Would just be able to help somebody for that they know, like, and trust at zero cost to them.
Yeah,
it's really a pretty good value proposition.
Yeah. All right, mate. Thank you. I'll see you in Florida when I bring my 9-year-old over to Disneyland.
You do that. Don't hesitate at all. We're 20 minutes away, so
yeah, great.
Be great to spend some time, and I'll take my 7-year-old. We'll go to Disney together.
Yeah, perfect.
And for our audience, we would greatly appreciate a review in iTunes or whatever platform you listen to us on. More reviews means we bubble up higher in iTunes, etc. So more business owners looking for podcast help with their growth will find us.